I don't know how to present this to y'all. And half of you aren't going to believe me, but I got to tell it. There's devastation all over the world right now. I mean, all over the world. The last, I don't know, 10, 20 years, there's been tremendous earthquakes, tremendous tsunamis, uh, Japanese being wiped out, Tahitians being wiped out, um, great forest fires all through the northwest, California fires, Arizona fires, Oregon fires, just all kinds of stuff, people being burned out of their homes, and a lot of them being made homeless. A lot of the animals dying. Um, great disasters, wars that don't need to be fought. That they Wars do not need to be fought. There's a lot of money in wars, but that isn't even the point that where I'm going with all of this. They It seems like there's been an awful lot of people displaced, in which there has been people displaced for a long time for other various reasons. People being without a home for years, and a lot of it seems that it's due to their own hands. But is it? Think about it. They're so they've been so programmed all their life that once they grow up and trying to get a home and stuff like that, it seems like there's systems out there that's completely against them, and they don't know how to sit and go within to the Christ, the anointing that's been put within them. They don't know how to go in there and find solutions to live on this in this life. But then they become homeless, no home, no residence, no food. All across the world, there's homeless people. There's people over in China that all they have is, they call them coffins. They sleep in them, and that's their home, in great big giant buildings. And then, of course, and there's people that they're going to go out and live on the street. They're not going to go in there. And a lot of them, people that live in them pods, pick up bed bugs and all kinds of things because the people that lived in there before and so forth. So it's just not the United States that's having issues. It's all over the world. Look at Maui. Look what happened over there. Thousands of people displaced off of their own property. And of course, and you got people coming in there trying to buy them out and buying them out. 2,000 children missing. It's endless like that. So, and the the saying that's going around is that how that was burnt was it don't make sense how it was burnt, because the metal was melted down to nothing and the trees didn't burn. And I've seen some pictures pertaining to that. The hurricanes. I've been in three hurricanes really in my lifetime. The first one was 1989, Hurricane Hugo. Really did a number on Charleston, South Carolina, and surrounding cities and towns. Now, it was devastating. It really tore things up. Now, there was enough homes back then that we could go get another home. So that wasn't a big deal at the time, other than all the damage and a few people, I'm sure, was killed at the time. See, but I wasn't into watching all that stuff going on. So now I'm watching and I'm learning and I'm studying. I'm listening. And in the last, well, since 2019, when that big event came about and everybody had to stay in the house and everybody had to have masks on and um, the schools were closed and everything, and a big virus that was going around. And people weren't to have contact with anybody. Nobody was allowed to go visit their mother and dad in the hospital, or if they had children there, weren't allowed to do that. And a lot of people's uh, parents and so forth had to pass away without their family being there. And they didn't even get to have the funeral that they would have gave them. So I'm adding all this stuff together, and I know a lot of people's going to think I'm crazy on this, but I've seen there's other people thinking in the same direction I am. But so, and this last hurricane, well, the one hurricane I was in was Michael, and it devastated Panama City, Florida, and in the section I was at, we were in the eye, and it really did some damage. Now I was fortunate enough that all I got was the skirting tore off of my home, but the whole city, the whole place, and beyond was destroyed, and they're still cleaning up down there. So, and then there's been hurricanes since. Now I know that there are hurricanes. There always has been, but lately there's been more than your normal episodes, and I've just recently found out that they do have mechanisms that can control the weather. It's all scientific, but they can control the weather. And another thing that they've been doing is flying airplanes over and seeding the skies and stuff, and making it cloudy out. And a lot of times it rains, and a lot of times it storms, and keeping us from the sunlight. And a lot of people want to move out of the cold areas into the areas where it's warm all the time, so they don't have to uh, brave the cold and try to find ways to stay warm and stuff. Now, they're not just doing this here in the United States. I've been watching some people from the UK, and they're doing it over there too. Them poor people over there, they a lot of them use not coal stoves, but wood burners, and of course, a lot of them on the electric grid and stuff. But the elderly are only allowed to use so much of the electric. So they have to sit around with hats and coats on in the wintertime to stay warm because they're only allowed so much. And so what they're doing here in the United States, they've started um, a system. Do I want to say system? Laws and regulations that they want to get rid of gas stoves of any form in apartments and houses. And it started in New York. I know that uh, I think California is doing that, but California don't have. I mean, I know it gets cold out there because I lived out there, but not like it does around here. So um, they're trying. Someone, I don't know who it is. Now, A lot of people say, well, it's Lucifer, Satan, the devil, all those evil entities out there that are causing all this havoc. And that may well be. And if that's the case, then what are we going to do about it? Uh, a lot of people say that it's extraterrestrials from another planet that are controlling all the elites and all the government systems. I don't know. But I have my idea about why they're trying to, whoever is doing this, because look at all the homeless people. And the ones that are losing their homes now because the rents are so high and their paychecks aren't big enough, large enough to cover their rent and their food and anything else that they need in life to uh, have a pleasant life. So, hold on a minute. So, yeah, what happens with the people when they can't find another place? Say they're priced out of their apartment or priced out of their house or even mortgages and stuff. I mean, with the banks the way they're going, some banks have collapsed and some banks, which they're changing their way of people getting their money and stuff. And some people go to the bank to get some money out and they're not allowed. They ask, well, why do you want your money? Some places, if you order something online and you're using your bank account to buy it, well, what are you going to use it for? And if it's something that they don't want you to buy, then if it pertains to what's going on in the world to keep you with a roof over your head and keep food in your belly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that part. But with all the homeless people, due to various reasons, and all of these hurricanes and all these wildfires that just start up out of nowhere, and they're talking about global warming and all of that. I mean, is all of that real? I mean, the fires are real, and the hurricanes are real, and the earthquakes are real. But why? Is it constructed? Is it man-made to bring homelessness to people? I mean, especially the people that don't have money. Well, you know that most of them, unless they have family that they can turn to, are going to end up on the street if their house is burned out or the hurricane tore it up or it was flooded and washed away down the river. I mean, this last hurricane came clean up into Virginia, Tennessee, and it has really wiped some people out in Tennessee. People not prepared because that don't happen. Tornadoes and stuff, yeah, sure. And look at all the tornadoes that there's been lately, the last few years. Look at all the so-called bird flu that thousands and millions of chickens and turkeys and stuff all had to be slaughtered, murdered, and the lack of meat for people. Telling people that cows and all those farm animals that their farts are running polluting the air, so they have to do this and have to do that. Keeping people from having the food and the nutrition that they need. Keeping the farmers poor. pesticiding our fruits and our vegetables, um, taking the seeds out of our fruits and so forth. Because if you look at the very beginning of the world in Genesis, we're told what to eat, and that was any uh, trees that the fruits is bearing seeds, and any kind of foliage and stuff and trees that bear seeds. That would be for meat for us. Well, they're taking all the seeds out. They're modifying all of our food, putting stuff in our food that causes sickness and disease, and um, pharmaceuticals that are putting out the pills and stuff, and the doctors are being taught to throw out those pills and stuff that are full of chemicals, and that covers up our symptoms and stuff like that. So I guess, kind of guess what I'm trying to get at here is, why is all this stuff going on? And to talk about 15-minute cities. Now, I know that a few of you seem to think that the 15-minute cities is supposedly based on making things that more accessible to people that live in these cities that don't have cars and stuff and so forth like that. But here's the thing. If they can get everybody in 15-minute cities, then they're in control. Whoever this may be. I don't know. Like I said, it could be Lucifer, Satan, if there is such a thing. Some kind of dark entity out there that don't like humans and want to control. I don't know. The World Economic Forum says you'll own nothing and be happy. They're talking about one universal income for everybody. Now, I've proved to myself that the way things are right now, that I can live one person on $1,300 a month. But we're forced into having health insurance, which, all right, that's the health insurance is good, but we have to pay for it. And I haven't been to the doctor in a year. I'm working on eating properly and stuff like that, and trying to stay positive. Now, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm very down and miserable. So I apologize to anybody that I've offended, because I'm exhausted. When I get exhausted and I don't feel good, my body hurts, I can get pretty cranky. But anyway, 15-minute cities. They just passed the law. The United States Supreme Court just passed the law. It is, for the whole United States, not just one state. Now, they've had other things in the past, like vagrancy. You weren't allowed to be vagrant. You had to have at least $7 to $10 in your pocket to show that you were taking care of yourself. But now they've passed a law that it's against the law to be homeless. If you're caught sleeping out, side, no, I didn't read the article myself, but it's probably big and long, and you got to lawyer up. You got to lawyer up to understand what your rights of being homeless and not homeless is. But I see it as, if you don't have a house, a residence, and you're sleeping out in your car, out in a tent, then to them you're homeless and it's against the law. And they're going to punish as such. You're going to get reprimanded for it, and some will be worse than others, I'm sure. But what are they going to do with all these homeless people? I mean, they've been talking about trying to build little tiny homes for them in different sections of the United States. And they've done a few things like that. Um, they're talking about moving the homeless people out into the woods, and so they're not seen by the people that have money and uh, want to live a quiet life. Well, I can see that side of it. I really can. But with all the money that they're sending, uh, the money that they send to fund wars and to help other countries fight other countries and kill people, murder people, uh, the population is decreasing. Now, I heard one such person that's up in office right now that is running for a particular office say that themselves. Once the world is depopulated, so here we go. Are the hurricanes being generated by man? Are the fires being generated by man? Um, the great disaster in Maui, the tsunamis. They have got equipment out there. The scientists, the governments, and the systems that are out there have equipment and scientific ways of making the weather do what they want the weather to do. And so, could that be a way to depopulate the people and drive people out of their houses? A little bit ago, I watched a video about this lady. I think she was in Florida. And she was in her apartment building. Just before the hurricane hit, one of her neighbors said, take your car and put it up there by the bank. It's up on a hill. And she listened, and she put her car up there. Well, she no sooner got back into her apartment and the water started coming up. Well, make a long story short, she got flooded out. She saved as much stuff as she could, and she packed it up in the car, and off she went. She's now homeless. And she did say, I packed it like as if I'm going to camp. So I guess this is kind of like the little thing that I kind of did by going ahead and getting a camper. It's on wheels. Any of us here that if they come along and say you can no longer live here, or something comes and, well, we can load up in the camper and I know it'd all be a tight fit, but we'd be in here. But that was my thought a few years back, that if something does happen, that my home is on wheels. And we do have trucks around here. So that was my thought in that. So I'm thinking this morning, after I listened to her say she was homeless now, and with the rate of people being homeless because of the rents, because of their not being able to pay their mortgages and their car loans, and they have no family to go to, and even some of the families don't have no place to go to. So they're basically going to be homeless. A lot of people out there that are working their jobs and they're living in their car. So my thought is that all of this is constructed and has been constructed for years, because I wished I hadn't got rid of it, but I did. But there was an article put out. Okay, I know the name of it. It's a book. There's a book that you can get on Amazon. I think you still can. And it's called The Silent War. And I got it off somebody that sent me by email, and it was, written on I don't know how many pages. I printed it out, but somewhere in my move I lost it. But it's talking about in 1957 they had a plan how to basically round up people and make them miserable and comply and do what they want them to do. So, silent war. No weapons. I mean, although a lot of people are getting murdered and bombed, but this basically was for the United States. So, my thought is that if they get enough homeless people, they can direct them into 15-minute cities because they're homeless now. It's against the law. You got to have some place to go. And the more people that they can get homeless, they're more able to control and push them into these 15-minute cities. Make them go. Sort of like a concentration camp. Well, look, here's what we'll do for you. We've got these little cities that are all set. Of course, you can't have a car. Can't have a car. You got to have a bicycle or walk to get around. So here's what we'll do. We will set you up in an apartment over here in this particular city, and you might have a choice. I don't know. If you're more inclined to be able to thrive better in the warm areas, maybe they'll allow you to set yourself up in the warm states. I don't know. Maybe the warm states are going to be for the elite to go enjoy their lives. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying all the elites are like, there's a lot of wealthy people out there that are right with us. But here's what we'll do for you. You need a home. We need you off the street. We don't have enough room in our prisons to keep putting you people in here. So we have this apartment over here that you can pay so much monthly rent, and you'll have your electricity, and you'll be warm and all like that. Little food market on the corner there, but I don't have any money. Well, here's the thing: if you take up this offer, we'll give you $1,200, $1,300 a month to take care of just one person. But of course, if it's a family of 5, well, of course, that's going to be a little bit more. We're going to give you a little bit more. That's my thought. So, and I'll probably get a lot of bad remarks, but here's the thing. It's talking about preparing, and everybody's talking about preparing, and some of these preppers that gone on here after the hurricane, and they're getting really some nasty remarks from people. Well, what do you mean prepare? If they did prepare, they got wiped out anyway. Well, there'll be other people around it. Everybody didn't get wiped out, but you could help them. But when I'm talking about being prepared, I'm talking about also not, along with all the things, getting enough food in your pantry, and make sure you've got a way to charge your phone, make sure you have a way to at least have some lights and food and being able to cook and stay warm, especially here in the cold states. But the biggest one is this: nobody's coming to save us. You can stand and pray till you're blue in the face, and you think you're praying to God Almighty. There's a lot of gods out there, so which God would that be? Would that be Lucifer? Because he is Prince of the Air. So they say, if there is such an entity. You got to pray to a so-called Jesus Christ that none of us ever met him. I lived like that for years, very faithfully. Didn't get nowhere with it. And when I woke up in 2007 and realized, after listening to what Yeshua, Jesus, was saying, that the Creator is within us, that makes us many gods. That makes us little gods. That whatever we say goes. Now, that man did say that. Now, if you go and read it, it says that. So, if we go within, and listen, we don't have to do any talking, not really, and we can say our prayer in our mind, and the Creator hears and gives us ideas back as to what to do. And we're still going to have struggles, though. That's the thing. We're still going to have struggles because of what's going on around us. And we don't want to get distracted with what's going on around us. We want to make our own little world the best that we can. So you have a family of 5. You teach everybody in your family that they go inside and find out what would best fit their way of dealing with things. And each one in the whole of the family will come together as a whole with their own individual ideas and survive all of this, thrive through all of this. And if we can do that, then we can pull those powers that are trying to be, we can pull them down, and we don't let them bring their negative, toxic energy into us, because we have raised our love and kindness and energy up, and the Creator of all comes to us and through us and out. Well, that's enough today. So if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. Y'all have a great day.